And we now have the Vice CEO of Tzu Chi Charity Foundation, Dr. Ray Shen He, and the head of the Department of History and Literature, Sister Ray Lin Lai, to share with us on the importance of documentation and its impacts in our Tzu Chi missions. Let us first welcome Dr. He to share with us. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. It seems like I have a little bit disconnected from my website a little bit. So shall I begin or I missed something? Okay, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to sharing the ideal of documenting with the diligence to witness the great love. This is I want to share with you, collaborate with the Sister Ray Lin Lai. She is also director for the Humanity and History Department of Tzu Chi Foundation. Let me show the screen. Can I show the screen? I think so. Oh yeah, here we are. Yes. Yeah, the title, The History of Tzu Chi, and how we document the history of Tzu Chi at this moment. And I think this is a very critical moment for us to do this. And at the more than 5 decades, Master Zheng Yan and her follower will create a lot of different missions around the world. So it's all about time to record and write those paradigms and those dharma who've been put into practices. So let me share with you from the historical perspective. We all know the Buddha's talk was gathered by vocal instead of writing. We know Ananda, he has good memory, so he, during the 500 monks gathering, he was responsible for the Dharma gathering. But those by vocal, from word to word, and there's no writing at the time, and this and those sutra by vocal last 400 years until about 200 AC, 200 BC, there was a written book from Sri Lanka. So you can see there might be some difference from the original teaching of Buddha, and especially some Buddha's disciple as Buddha, they want to have like certain or specific or like the common language to spread out the Dharma of Buddha. For instance, they want to have one language only. They ask Buddha, can we use only one language to spread out your Dharma? And Buddha replied to his disciple, no, you're going to use your local dialects to spread out your Dharma because it's more close to the people. So the original sutra, was gathered by vocal and also by different regional dialect. So you can see the difference from the original teaching. And so the first written sutra was constructed in Sri Lanka, back to 200 BC. So after Buddha's nirvana, about 400 years. So you can tell, all the Buddha's talk, his original talk, is hard to really, ascertain his original meaning because it's by vocal, from one people to the others. It's read by, dialects from one ethnic to the others, from one region to the others. Until the 200 BC, there was a written one, sutra, made by monks in Sri Lanka. And the language they use is Pali. Pali is now original Buddha's, language. The Buddha belonged to Kosala. Kosala is the north region of ancient India. But when the 500 monks try to gathering those sutra. They are in the Magadha kingdom. Magadha kingdom also north, but Pali is belong to Magadha kingdom. And the Pali language is the southern part of Magadha kingdom. So the language that being used for Sri Lanka, the Pali language, is now original language of Buddha. Original language of Buddha is Kosala, that belong to his own kingdom. So we can tell that from the vocal, from the dialect, and from the Pali, they're all not considered 100% original Buddha's talking. So the ancient sutra is hard really to assure that every single word we have been read now is belong to Buddha's original teaching. But we are luckily, we have a writing now, we have a filming now, we have everything to document Master Zheng Ye's Dharma as well as all our practices globally. At the time, Hinduism and Buddhism attract kings and wealthy people to follow Buddhist teaching. And the monk focus on abstract philosophy. We all know the school of conscience only. There's all very, very abstract philosophy, very much emphasized in the analysis of human mind. But the ordinary people, it's hard to understand those very abstract philosophy and those analysis on consciousness. So they turn to Brahman. So in the history of Buddhism, so many sutra being merged by Hinduism, and Hinduism philosophy is highly merged into the Buddhist sutra. So now we are reading those sutra. It's very hard to say. It's 100% from original Buddha's teaching. So it conveys the idea of Buddhism, of course, and also mail into Hinduism. So again, from vocal, people to people, from dialect, one region to the others, and the writing sutra is now also original Buddha's language. And then the Hinduism gradually, last centuries to gradually merge into Buddhism. So the sutra we are reading now, again, we are not 100% sure that belong to Buddha's original teaching. So, but most importantly, the Buddha emphasized on practices. And also Master Zheng Yen always emphasized the Dharma is path, and path is for walk. So she emphasized all Dharma had to put into practices. So Buddhism is not merely about meditation, it's about practices. We all know that Buddha expect his follower to follow the Eight Noble Path and some of the other different compassion, in actions, etc. So nowadays, I believe the Master Zheng Yen and Tzu Chi Foundation, also called Tzu Chi School of Buddhism, we all emphasize to apply Buddha's teaching into practices. And not only for self-practices, we also engage in society, engage in secular work, and provide well-being to people. That's all Tzu Chi's four mission and A for Spring. So the Tzu Chi Buddhism, it emphasizes on compassion relief in practices and also in society. From my own perspective, the Tzu Chi Buddhism, the central core of Tzu Chi Buddhism is from altruism to ultimate enlightenment. Through altruistic behavior and action, we're able to transcend ourselves, eventually reach the enlightenment. So the history of Tzu Chi, now we are constructing the history of Tzu Chi. We are so lucky can be witness the suffering of the needy. So that's why we have to record the suffering of all sentient beings, the impermanence of our time, of our life. We are so fortunate to witness the compassion of volunteers. We had to record and write those touching stories. Those volunteers provide their compassion and altruism to the needy one. We all testify and witness the Dharma of Master Cheng Yen and witness the transcendence of the volunteers. So we are not only document those suffering people, we are not only document the volunteers' compassionate work, we have to testify Master Cheng Yen's Dharma and how it applies to our missions, to every single individuals that we have opportunity to help them and support them and to alleviate their suffering and their spirit. So we have to recall not only those suffering, not only those Dharma, and how those Dharma from Master Cheng Yen's teaching influence volunteers' spirit, and how volunteers, through those altruistic actions, transcend their mind, purify their spirit. So that's also our mission, to be a humanity volunteers, not only document the suffering, not only document the volunteers' work, not only testify Master Cheng Yen's Dharma, but also those volunteers, how they purify themselves through these kind of compassionate services. You also have to cultivate our spirit as a humanity volunteer. We recall, write other stories, but those stories also inspired us, also cultivate our mind. And so all the story we cover eventually is going to benefit to ourselves, to benefit our mind, our spirit, a so-called wisdom life. Through those humanistic actions and humanistic missions. And by doing all these kind of different witnesses, we are going to build a better society in this mundane world. So we can document the other people's life. We also escalate our own spirit as well. And that's the true purpose of the humanity of Tzu Chi school of Buddhism. We have undergone many different media from the ancient India, from the, vocal, as John say, and then gradually they have the writing manuscript in Sri Lanka. Back to 2,000 years ago, they have a first manuscript in written sutra, and then we come with the publishing, and then we come with radio, we come with film, we have pictures, we have a film to record, to record, to document every single piece of the touching story. And now we have the internet to have a mutual exchange. Receiver, provider are the same. The receiver can provide their own angle, their own story as well. So we become a platform, not only a content provider, but build a platform. Now we have virtual reality in order to use the 3D dimensional technologies to reconstruct the scenario for all our actions, all our compassion, and all our words in the mundane world. So now we have a fortunate enough to have different means to document those stories and those dharmas. In compared to Buddha's era, they only have vocal. They use the dialect, people to people, ethnic to ethnic, region to region. So when the time lasts, the Dharma may be changed from people to people, maybe difference from region to region. Now we have opportunity to precisely catch the story, witness the Dharma by writing, by publishing, by audio, by video, through internet, and also through three-dimensional virtual reality technologies. So we are very equipped to do our work, to document the history of Tzu Chi's mission and Dharma. And by doing this, why we need history? Why we need to document all those touching story and those Dharma? Because that will be able us to build a paradigm. The paradigm is so important for human civilization. From history to nowadays, we have seen so many Buddhist paradigms. Buddha, those disciples, those saints, all create different paradigms from time to time and from place to place. Nowadays, Tzu Chi followers follow Master Zheng Yen's Dharma and put it into practices to alleviate so many suffering, to transcend our spirit. We are going to build a paradigm for our world now and for the future of human being. So this is a new movement of Buddhist civilization, because in the past, we all know the Buddhist Sutra is mainly about philosophy, about analysis of conscience, less on practical work, less on engagement of social work, less on those concrete, compassionate action to change, to transform the secular society into a divine one. So we are the new movement of Buddhism. We are new ideal of human civilization that create a compassion and altruism, become a common goodness for Buddhism, for our time, and also for human being now and in the future. Our mission today, oh brothers and sisters, is to create such a paradigm, to apply Master's Dharma, to document those compassionate and altruism story that will enrich the teaching of Buddha, enrich the Buddhism, as well as to human civilization. Thank you so much. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much to Vice CEO Dr. He. And next, we would like to invite Sister Ray to share with us.
Hello, brothers and sisters. Good morning, good evening, and good night, and namaste. It's my honor to share with you how to record the history of Tzu Chi through this course. I'm Railing Lai. I believe that through the explanation of Vice CEO Dr. He, you have already understand the importance of history. Next, we will discuss how to do it. I believe you want to try and want to do, but how? First, let me show a very important photo. In the history of Tzu Chi, it represents important milestone of Tzu Chi, including important time, space, and interpersonal relationships behind the photo. This is the photo. You can see the photo. It's just a old lady. Yes, her name is Zhen Ling. She lived alone near the market in Hualien City in Taiwan, has no family and lacks care. She once adopted a son, but unfortunately, her son died young. She adopted another girl, but the girl abandoned her. When we took this picture, she was 86 years old and lonely. She is the first recipient of Tzu Chi in 1966. Tzu Chi has only established for 1 month. Dharma Master Zheng Yen and the Tzu Chi volunteers gave her 300 Taiwan dollars a month and arranged for someone to deliver meals to her every day until she died. Okay, this is Zenling's story. I think you can see here the time, the space, and the relationship between people. And in our archives, the data, the month, the year of the help are more clearly indicated. In addition, the place where she lived, the address, we also recorded. On the other hand, this story also described the process of how to help her. This is the first case, but now we have thousands cases and in the global. I believe in your community, you have the same story, but they have different reason and a different outcome, and we need your story. Okay, I understand. Maybe English is not your native English. Neither is it for me because I have this. I write everything. I prepare everything to share to you. So you can try to write down. Don't stop sharing the love and the joy in your heart because of the language or difficulty couldn't to be burden you if you have story. Why do I say that? After all, I didn't participate in this story because in 1966, I was not born yet. But if you know more about ourselves, you read stories and you know more about the histories, I believe you will feel touching and you want to sharing. These stories reported in our Tzu Monthly, the first print in 1967. Yeah, and we can see the Zenling's story. Okay, and so if you want to share the story at first, maybe you should to think about this. Who are we? Who you are? And what can we do? Because I know more about ourselves in the early years. Master Jin Yan devoted herself to visiting the poor when she started helping poor family. Jin's temple had not yet been established. Okay, just as the pictures. She do everything, yeah? And she just visiting the poor family to asking what they need and prepare the proper things, rice, and anything for them. But this do not affect, even though at that time, she didn't have a house for a temple for herself. But this does not affect her determination to help poor family, because we believe that we are selfish, believe everyone has love. Let me summarize the above description, because every important event needs time, space, and the interpersonal relationship. And the more important, it represents the meaning and the inferences. What is time? Okay, time from when to when, including day, month, and the year. Okay, I take some example. In the early morning, maybe you can describe more detail, 5 o'clock in the morning, because in different countries, the description of the morning is also different. Okay, maybe you want to show the snow. It's snowing heavily. Maybe you can replace by it's snowing heavily. Okay, Central Weather Services issues having snow warning. Yeah, and you need more information and to show describe your situation, because some countries have no snow and then they can't understand the impact of the disaster, it will be more accurate if the information was released through an official agency. Okay, the first element is time. The second element is space, location. Location including privacy, city, village. Yeah, because some of the country I never visited. So please, more detail. Maybe you will write the story about 5 kilometers from the disaster area, but please add another word. It takes 5 hours to drive. Yes, although it is only 5 kilometers. But after disaster, traffic is often affected and the roads are damaged and collapsed. Therefore, space is also used as an expression of distances. You can describe more. Another example, this is the largest township in Hualien, but how big is it? More than 20,000 inhabitants. Okay, so you have used number, yes, to describe how many, okay, how large or how small, okay. The second element is space, location. And the third part, when you want to describe a story, you can use the interpersonal relationships. We have the 3 different characteristics like this: recipients, providers, and partners. Okay, sometimes we will think about, okay, maybe we are 慈济, what we are and what we do, blah, 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 blah. But the most of time, especially when we want to write a story, the most important parts actually are recipients. Yeah, you have to show your respect, your love, you have to listening their stories and write down and use your camera or your video cam to document their lives. So the most important part is recipients. But no matter it's after disaster relief or ordinary distribution, we always need partners. Okay, maybe it's a local leader, your drivers. Yeah, sometimes they give us another of help, but we not the raw characteristic, but we still need their help. So in our history, they are very important too. So the third element, very important element, is about interpersonal relationships. Okay, this is not I create this part. This is from Dharma Master Zhenyan's teaching. Okay, time, space, and interpersonal relationships. But we need more. Yeah, what is more? Because the footprint have been recorded and have to be broadcasting. So we want to explain the meaning and the impact. Okay, so next on we are talking about meaning and impact. Okay, meaning, you can ask yourself, okay, just as Dr. He mentioned above, Dharma is path needs practice. So I believe when you take pictures or you write the stories, you had to practice again and again. You do that, so you have touching, so you write down. So you must ask yourself, what did you learn from this action? You feeling, you move, you're touching. If you don't have any move or touching, your article can't to touching any others. Okay. And the difficulties is very important. It's a reflection on yourself. So I think the meaning, the first part, you have to come from your heart and your action. And how about the impact and the influences? You can ask your partner and the recipients their change, okay, their improvement, their life, the transformation in the environment. Okay, sometimes the change isn't easy to detect, or it doesn't show up right away, and it's okay. Your continuously record will not only point the way of the subsequent action, but also take on its meaning in the future. So please keep working. Yeah, keep watching your main thing, your characteristic, your story, even though the inference is not yet to tell you the how come. Yeah, maybe I have a short video can tell everything. So let us to watch this video. The video was come from Indonesia. Yeah, so we play the video and to show.
Welcome to Dad Headlines. I'm Jo's host. Thank you for joining us. In Indonesia, a tornado devastated Great Kalimun last month, damaging 77 houses. Tzu Chi volunteers provided construction materials and cash relief for 3 households who were severely affected.
In the aftermath of tornado, the old house has become even more dilapidated.
Karena sebagian besar sudah dihandle sama pemerintah, jadi kita sekarang
Government has provided some help, so we provide what the government has not given out.
seperti kita ada ya batuan seng, plat.
They include zinc roof materials and consolation cash.
Yang kita bisa bantu sama santunan uang tunai.
After the wall fell and residents were injured, people continue to guard their houses because they cannot lose anymore.
Cuman gara-gara hujan lagi,
It rained suddenly and the wall collapsed, injuring my child and me. Fortunately, my husband was safe. However, my child suffered a head injury, so I took him to the hospital.
Henry's home is a wooden house, and the storm is still strong. The collapsed tree only damaged the area behind the house.
Kalau waktu seminggu kena kemarin, dibilang sulit ya sulit lah. Soalnya belum bisa kerja.
In the first week after tornado struck, I had a difficult time as I could not resume work. I had to clean up the house. It was still wet in the house. There is no roof. I covered it with wooden boards and I have not fastened it with nails.
Karaman City volunteers that provided zinc plates, wooden boards, and other construction materials, helping the affected residents get through the tough times.
Thank you, the video. Okay, let me play the PPT. Okay, thank you. Sorry. Okay.
Welcome to Dad Headlines. I'm Jo's. Welcome.
Okay, I think in this video, we can show that how Tzu Chi people have learned. This is a very short video, but I think, do you remember the damage to the house in the movie? Do you remember how the documentary teams interview in the film? Yeah, they have the different interviewee, Henry, yeah, and the Tzu Chi members, yeah. And I think due to the limited time, there is no record of conditions of the house after the completion and the lives of the victims after they move in. But I think now that you understand more about the importance of documentation, this video shows us how Indonesia volunteers help tornado victims rebuild, but we need more story, more detail. Again, it doesn't matter because the work of charity doesn't end at once. We can continue to record the story of the Henry family in the future. So follow up, please. We need a follow-up story. Yes. So we need more story, and more story, of course, we have some skill, yes, to lend us to keep along. Do we miss any important information? Like this, basic approach is 5W1H. Yeah, who, where, when, what, and why, and how. 5W1H is the abbreviation summarizing the following 6 questions. And this is made consistent to asking a systematic set of questions to collect all the data necessary to draw up a report of the existing situation with the aim of identifying the true nature of the problem and describing the context precisely. And you can get more information in the hyperlink. Yes, in this website, they have a lot of example about the story, how to make sure your 5W1H, you get enough information. Okay, if you want to read more article, what are the good article? I think maybe it's another question. I think the Tzu Chi bi-monthly is a good choice. There is an online version on this magazine that you can read online, especially Tzu Chi events around the world. In Tzu Chi events around the world, it only have the 300 words. Okay, let me show it. It's very easy. You just to type or hyperlink. Okay, let me show you. Okay, the online version. Okay. Oh, pardon. Here. Okay, this is Dharma Master's teaching, and this is Tzu Chi bi-monthly. Okay, and the latest one is March. Okay, and you can see the great photos and the articles. Yeah, and have the stories, especially on this part. Okay, okay, about the stories. Let me to the page 16. Okay. Okay, a lot of photos. And so if you about the recycling, okay, recycling after the flood victims, yeah, have the map, the story from Indonesia, yeah. And I want to show you this part, okay. Tzu Chi events around the world, you see that? Yeah, Cambodia. This part only 300 words. Yeah, and the story about your community will live in the Tzu Chi's history. If you have photos, right? In Mozambique and another countries, right? One picture and short words. Okay, we have a little time to read this Cambodia, maybe to make it. Okay. Yeah, about COVID-19. After the COVID-19, how we to help the poor family and our volunteers distribution. Then more than 18 pounds of rice, blankets, and another things, right? So I believe that in your community have the similar stories. So please write down and share your story. I think it's not so difficult and you have the great simple, right? Okay, let me come back to my PPT. Okay, and we have another way to prepare our story. This is the plot. Yeah, when I was young, I love movie. Okay, everyone love movie, especially the movie of the heroes, right? And you can see that perhaps you have also begun to realize that if the only 5W1H in the recording story. It may be very boring, right? 5W1H is all information, right? Okay, not a story. It's 5W1H can't to satisfy you. Maybe you can to look this framework. Okay, in this framework, it shows more. Okay, it's a Hollywood move usually use this structure. Such a narrative method comes from Hollywood. The characteristic in the story go through many challenges that seem to have been overcome, but new problem arise. Yeah, I'm not asking you to start write novel or making movies. No, but to observe through this framework. Okay, just observe this framework. Does the theme of the story you are facing have such elements? Yeah, some problem, some difficulty, how to overcome, some climax, right? I believe when you to charge a distribution, your lack of money, your lack of stuff, your lack of manpower, you need everything, but you overcome everything, and when you saw the recipients smile, you feel happy too. Yeah, it's a storyline. We need the storyline, like the curve. Okay, they have the story come up and down. Okay, and you can see more example, and of course you can see more in example and references material through the hyperlink. Okay, on my PPT. Okay, other development methods let's start with a single individual's as the subject of the stories. There are many kinds of methods, and I can't go into them one by one today. Like this, okay, when I want to sharing a story of a person, yes, and because they are all different things, so maybe it's just a method to offer to you if you want to tell a story about a person, a volunteer, how he devoted his time to Tzu Chi. Yeah, let's have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 key elements. Yes, you can think about this. My experiences tells me that if you are just starting out, okay, quickly start recording the things that move you. Okay, just do it. If you have been starting for a while, it is more important to look back first and see what you have recorded. Okay, let me give some example to express my gratitude to all of you, but also give some feedback. Okay. Okay, the picture is taken from the Tzu Chi Digital Archives website. Sorry, this website does not have an English version yet. This website does not require any password, no passwords. You can go to find pictures and articles about Tzu Chi. Okay, I search with Sri Lanka as the keyword and set Sri Lanka as the location, and the results come up. Yes, we have the 5,964 pictures. Yeah, so many pictures. Wow, awesome. Thank you, Tzu Chi members in Sri Lanka. Thank you for your documenting your story. Thank you. We saw touching pictures like this old man. Okay, like this old man. Okay, I think he donating his spare change. Okay, our college wrote the following words. Yes, in here. Okay, our colleague write this. I translate to English, okay? COVID-19 has hit the Sri Lanka economic heart. Many people have lost their income and their lives have fallen into hardship. Okay, Hambantota Tsuji volunteers launched the third relief distribution to help residents overcome the epidemic. Many recipients put their spare change into bamboo, hoping to do their bit to help others. However, I think it's a good story, right? But now we need more. Okay, who is the photographer? The photographer name in Chinese, the 不详 is unknown. Unknown. Okay, we need the name and the further description of the recipient about the old papa, where he live. Okay, what's the problem in the after the COVID? Okay, I hope that story of one or two recipient can be more vividly expressed. Remember, meaning and the impact is very important. Ask the why question to the person providing the service and the how question to the recipient. Make the story even more different. Okay, ask why and how more and more. Once again, I would like to express my highly respect and gratitude to Tsuji members in Sri Lanka. Thank you very much. This was never an easy task. Any record work, any documentary requires preparation before the event, full attention during the event, and the data collection after the event. So documentary volunteers are the ones who go first and do the last. Now I want to pay, I don't have time to play the Dharma Master Genius, but I just to leave the link. Please watch this video to show my honors. And my time is almost up. Finally, I would like to thank everyone for your tolerance, for allowed me to share this time with my limited English. This is the first time I have given such formal speech in English, and I want to say that you are not alone. Distance, language, and the culture cannot stop our feeling of love. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sister Rayling, for giving your first presentation in English for our group of volunteers online today. I'm sure we will all be very motivated by the tips that you have given us in order to become active members and historians of Tzu Chi. And thank you, Dr. He, for sharing with us the importance of recording our footprints in our day-to-day charity work. Although we might think these work that we do is just just normal things that we do, but like we see in Dr. He's sharing, when we look back, perhaps in 10 years, 50 years, 100, in fact, thousands of spiritual documents. And so it's very important that each of us take away things we have learned from this class to also record every step of our charity work and share with the rest of the world so that we can influence and impact more people to join our cause and the mission of Tzu Chi.